Hello and welcome to our newscast. I'm Hwang Jie, live from Seoul. Korea's parliament starts its second week of audit today after the first week came and went with no clear results due to political wrangling between the ruling and opposition parties. As lawmakers gear up to get things done, questions at the National Assembly are expected to focus on allegations surrounding the establishment of the Mir and K Sports foundations. There are serious questions over how the two organizations raised a staggering $65 million between them through donations by private companies. It's alleged that unnamed key figures from the Park Geun-hye administration were heavily involved in helping the foundations. The leaderships of the ruling and opposition parties have agreed to extend the audit period by 4 days to October 19th to make up for last week's standoff. With an ongoing strike by the rail and subway labor unions, subway train services in Seoul and its surrounding areas are expected to dip slightly below usual levels from today. The country's rail operator Korail says operations on subway lines 1, 3, and 4 will drop to as low as 80% of normal levels during afternoon hours. Subway trains on those lines will run at 92% of usual levels during the evening rush hours. A Korail spokesman said the drop in services is due to a lack of substitute workers. Regular passenger trains will run at 60%, freight trains just around 42%. However, Korea's KTX bullet train will operate as normal without any disruptions. In a worrying deterioration of relations, the United States has suspended talks with Russia on its efforts to end the violence in Syria. It suggests there's little hope for a diplomatic solution to end the more than 5-year civil war anytime soon. Kim Mo-kyun reports.
The U.S. State Department says Washington is halting its participation in bilateral channels with Russia as Moscow did not live up to its commitments.
The United States spared no effort in negotiating and attempting to implement an arrangement with Russia aimed at reducing violence, providing unhindered humanitarian access, and degrading terrorist organizations operating in Syria, including Daesh and al-Qaeda in Syria. Unfortunately, Russia failed to live up to its own commitments, including its obligations under international humanitarian law and UN SCR 2254.
The announcement came as Syrian government forces supported by Iranian-backed militias and Russian air power pounded the rebel-held area of Aleppo. U.S. State Department spokesman John Kirby said Washington would continue to communicate with Moscow's military to avoid accidental military interactions over Syria. But he said the U.S. would withdraw all personnel it had dispatched to prepare for military cooperation with Russia under the latest ceasefire agreement. A few hours before the announcement, Russian President Vladimir Putin suspended an agreement with the U.S. on disposing of weapons-grade plutonium, citing Washington's, quote, unfriendly actions towards Moscow. Washington said it was disingenuous of Russia to cite the United States' threat to strategic stability as a reason for this decision. Kim Mo-kyun, ARIRANG News.
Japanese scientist Yoshinori Yosumi has won this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine for his work on self-eating cells. He figured out how cells degrade and essentially take out the trash. Barry Welsh reports.
The Japanese cell biologist received the award for his research on how cells operate to detoxify themselves. Yoshinori Osumi's work on cell breakdown, a field known as autophagy, is important because it can help explain what goes wrong in a variety of diseases. Autophagy, derived from the Greek words that basically mean self-eating, is how the body recycles unwanted or unneeded cells. These unneeded cells are located in the body and their useful elements are recycled to generate energy or create new cells. It's a very important process that prevents cancerous growths from forming, maintains a healthy metabolism, and can also protect against diabetes. Osumi's research concerns how cells break down and recycle their content. And disruptions in this recycling process have been linked to diseases like cancer, Parkinson's, and type 2 diabetes.
The discoveries made by Yoshinori Osumi have been instrumental in revealing the mechanism and significance of a fundamental physiological process. And there is growing hope that this knowledge will lead to the development of new strategies for the treatment of many human diseases.
Osumi was awarded a prize of 8 million Swedish crowns, or roughly $933,000, and he told Japanese media that he was extremely honored.
In recent years, I've unexpectedly received many awards, but the weight of the Nobel Prize is on another level.
The Japanese cell biologist was born in 1945 in Fukuoka, Japan, and has been a professor at the Tokyo Institute of Technology since 2009. The prize for physiology or medicine is the first of the Nobel Prizes awarded each year. Prizes for achievements in science, literature and peace were first awarded in 1901 in accordance with the will of dynamite inventor and businessman Alfred Nobel. Barry Welsh, ARIRANG News.
Korea's southern resort island of Jeju is forecast to come under the indirect effect of Typhoon Chaba in the coming hours. There is a 60 to 80% of heavy rain this afternoon on Jeju and in other southern regions. Some mountainous parts of Jeju are expected to see up to 250 millimeters of rain, but most areas will see between 50 to 150. Gangwon-do and Chungcheongbuk-do provinces are forecast to see between 20 to 60 millimeters of rain. The indirect influence of the typhoon will also bring strong gusty winds to those areas, so take care if you have to drive. And that wraps it up for now. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll be back at 10 a.m. Korea time, so stay tuned and goodbye for now.